At this point, just buy a PS5 or PS5 Pro. This is the recommendation from Nib95. I'm sure most of you here would probably take that into account. Too often, according to Nib95, these ports aren't worth the wait. Then he puts this and says, maybe there's a point. Hashtag PlayStation is trying to drive home. Hashtag PS5, hashtag PS5 Pro. I wonder what the point he is basically iterating, here in this particular little video clip. Let's listen to Herman Holst basically drive home this so-called point that Nib, who would love to basically be a PlayStation executive, would love for us to hear.
Indeed, we are bringing our titles to the PC platform, and we have a dual approach here. On the live service side, we are releasing our titles simultaneously, so day and date, on PlayStation 5 and PC. But with our tentpole titles, our single-player or narrative-driven titles that are, as you saw in the presentation, the backbone of what PlayStation Studios has delivered in recent years and in our history, we take a more strategic approach, and we introduce our great franchises to new audiences.
Now, you guys already know the speech, you know the conclusion of this, but let me go ahead and check Nib on the corporation that he would love to keep an eye on, but in some sense is not really keeping an eye on. Number one, their so-called day and date titles that are coming to PC actually provide what I think is the best experience. Isn't that crazy though? Because number one, these games, we've seen two of them at the moment, the day and date live service games, Helldivers 2, number 1, and Concord, number 0. I mean, it is what it is. Both games showed up on the PC platform. You did not have to pay any PlayStation Plus to actually play them, and their performance, fantastic. No problems, no hitches. These are the games that they've basically fine-tuned their strategic allocation of their budget to making, and these games so far, their delivery has been on point. In fact, what's crazy is it's that the games that they actually sit there and probably want you to maybe go buy a PlayStation 4, imprudently, by the way, seeing as they're still bringing the sequels to the PC, contrary, or I guess I would say somewhat in contrast, let's put it that way, to what Herman Holst said. At some point, you have to ask yourself, why buy a PS5 Pro when you're going to get the very best version of the games that they're bringing to you day and date? I wish sometimes that our fellow, folk on the other side of the conversation sometimes would consider the ramifications of some of the things that they actually perpetuate. Continue, Mr. Host, because you're on my debate team. You know that, right? Awesome.
And we're finding new audiences that are potentially going to be very interested in playing, for example, sequels on the PlayStation platform. We have high hopes that we're actually able to bring new players into PlayStation at large, but into PlayStation platforms specifically. Actually, the same goes for the work that we do with extending our great properties onto other media, such as television series and film, for example, as you have.
One thing that Nib is not saying is, he says we have high hopes that they play sequels, basically. But Nib is over here trying to downplay the fact that this whole Digital Foundry talk about The Last of Us Part 2 actually somewhat contrasts what his high hopes are. A so-called sequel that could have probably drawn people to the PlayStation ecosystem, which would have been The Last of Us Part 2, is now one that's actually being ported to PC. Nib95, apparently it just didn't seem like it was worth for most people to buy a PlayStation console to come here. So now you have to sit there and whine on Digital Foundry's analysis of the PC performance rather than actually hold PlayStation accountable for delivering a product that was not up to their quality that you always sit there and talk about. Please do not let the facts get into the way of your mental gymnastics, because the effects might be really, really heavy. And I think we see it. There really isn't anything else that I got to say here. I mean, there are like 4 points of irony all over here. And you see, most of the, console war people will make those ironic points. And it doesn't matter where they're coming from. PlayStation, Xbox, even the Nintendo people, they're a bag full of irony right now with their whole I own my game talk. We're going to get back to that very soon. Let's see how this all plays out. Right? So when it's all said and done, there's just no way anybody can try to convince me here that we're in for a gaming discourse that really does focus on the consumer. Instead, it's, go ahead and buy a PS5 at this point. At this point, since, you don't have any games to play. Or at this point, I don't know, whatever you want to fill in the gap. Maybe there's something else in mind. I'm just throwing in mine right now. Right? At this point. Just go buy a PS5 or a PS5 Pro. Because, somewhere, somehow, that's going to resolve or absolve PlayStation of having provided a product that is simply subpar. And please buy, consume product, and then move on. Consume next product because, they went ahead and said you should. It's just very interesting at the end of the day, though. Don't you think? I mean, isn't it just weird that this is what these folk are pretty much going to go ahead and throw out there because, somewhere, somehow, they have to basically bat for their own, platform at the end of the day. It's just so weird. I don't know, bro. I can't. With, you know what? Talk to me in the comment section. I don't know how y'all want to deal with this one because it's just so crazy. Be nice. I mean, don't go bother anybody. Peace out.